Conservative new media viewers and Jeremy Lin fans around the world, what's up? It's me, PFE, Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert. And I know I told you guys you might not hear from me much, but I also told you that if something good or important came along, that I would make a video to let you guys know about it in terms of what's up with Jeremy. I just came upon something, and it's a new interview with Hakeem Olajuwon, Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon, talking about Jeremy. And I saw this by way of Clutch fans, and I will put a link in the video description below the video player so you guys can go and check out this interview for yourselves. Now, in the last video, I told you guys that Hakeem, who I believe now has an official job with the team, was just up with some other members of like the coaching staff, I believe, in Denver, Colorado, in Aspen, Colorado, a week ago now or something, working with Dwight Howard and working with Jeremy. And so this interview was done with a news outlet in Houston. And Hakeem had all kinds of good things to say about Jeremy. That's why I want to make this video, because it's very exciting. If you like Jeremy, and of course all of you do, you're really going to want to read this article and see this interview. As you can see in the title, Hakeem talks about Jeremy's work ethic, but he talks about a whole bunch of other things as well. And I'll just kind of quickly go over them real fast right now. One of the things that Hakeem mentioned is that Jeremy is working on his low post moves, meaning, post-up moves, which is usually done by bigger players like centers. But you will see guards do post-up moves, particularly bigger guards, taller guards, or guards that are strong. And what Hakeem said to Jeremy is like, look, if you're able to do post-up moves, or if you get smaller guys guarding you, post them up. He said that Jeremy actually had at least one pretty good post move. And, Hakeem's one of the best in the history of the game at posting up, which is why he's worked with so many different players and done kind of training sessions with them because of how good he was and his reputation of being very good with his feet, his footwork. And so if Hakeem tells you that you've got good post move, then you probably got a pretty good post move. So I guess Jeremy told Hakeem that Jeremy used to do post-ups when he was playing at Harvard. And he just, apparently, he hasn't done it a whole bunch in the NBA, although we have seen Jeremy do it. I remember seeing him do a post-up move a couple of times in games last year. So when the situation is there, do it. And one of the things that Hakeem said as well was that he's heard from whomever that Jeremy's really strong. And that's great to hear. Jeremy is strong. As I said before, he's pretty big for a point guard. Now, I'm not saying he's the biggest guy in the league at point guard, but he's big. He's, a solid 200 pounds probably, and he's 6'2.5", 6'3". That's a good size. And if you're strong, you can post guys up, even if they're taller than you. You don't have to be taller than them. It helps, but if you have a lot of strength, you can still post them up. A lot of it has to do with lower body strength, hips, legs, that type of strength. And I think Jeremy's pretty strong in that area. For example, Charles Barkley, who now works for TNT Television in the United States, covering the NBA games, analyzing the games. Charles Barkley's probably about 6'5", and he posted up all the time. He would post up guys that 6'10", whatever, and that's because he was so strong in the lower body. So if Jeremy's able to do that, he should definitely do that when the opportunity presents itself. And the truth is, he's going to play against a lot of players that he's stronger and bigger than. Not game in, game out, but a good number of times that's going to come up. So if Jeremy's able to add that into his repertoire, that really will help. And we've talked about before how doing, learning isolation moves, how to get your shot off, floaters and runners. Well, posting up's just another option to be able to score. So if you can become good at that, that'll help Jeremy score more points more consistently. Another thing that Hakeem said is that Jeremy was shooting the ball well from the perimeter. In fact, Hakeem joked around and was saying, like, yeah, I thought you couldn't shoot, because he said, yeah, everybody says Jeremy can't shoot, but, basically, yeah, he looked like he was shooting pretty well when I saw him, is basically what Hakeem was saying. And he was joking around with Jeremy, hey, I thought you couldn't shoot, so. And coming to what is said in the title of this video, Hakeem said that he really loves Jeremy's work ethic. And of course, this has been a theme that we've talked about all summer long. This was the theme of the Reloaded video that Jeremy did. And it's just great that it's getting to the point where people are starting to notice this. Again, we've talked about what happened last summer and all the fiasco of that. Oh, he didn't rehab hard enough. Oh, maybe he's just, he's cashing in on Lin's sanity, and he doesn't, he wants to go tour Asia and not work hard, blah, blah, blah. Well, Hakeem clearly understands, this guy's a hard worker, which, again, you can't get into Harvard and get through Harvard if you don't work hard. I'm absolutely certain of that, unless you're, I don't know, you have really good connections and, you kind of get it easy and your professor just kind of lets you go, or else you're some kind of prodigy that it never has to study. But for 95% of the people, 90% of the people, it doesn't work like that. You got to work to be able to make it through a university like that. So, of course, Jeremy can work hard. And as we pointed out many times before, now he can focus on working hard because he doesn't have to worry about his finances and he's healthy. And so now he's starting to put the work in. And again, as we've said many times, as long as he can stay healthy, you should see continual improvement. And with Jeremy, quite honestly, based upon how he improved last year with his three-point shooting within the season, you should probably see pretty good improvement relatively quickly. Now, that won't, there's an upper limit to that. You can only improve so much so quickly. But I think Jeremy is still he's in the early phases of his improvement curve, his learning curve kind of thing. So he should be able to improve relatively rapidly. Now, during the season, it's a little bit harder to improve just because you're traveling all the time. You're busy. You've got to play games. But again, we did see the improvement last year with the three-point shooting. And he improved his dribbling a lot last year. He definitely within the year was able to dribble the ball better with his left hand as the season wore on. So I expect to see, I certainly think you're going to see considerable amount of improvement just at the start of the year from him in terms of shooting and conditioning and everything else. One, because he will be healthier, and two, he's worked on it all summer. But even during the season, he will probably still be able to progress. And part of improving is just learning the league better. Jeremy's still a young player. He hasn't started for very long. So just as you get used to playing guys, you get more time, you improve naturally just from playing more, even if you're not improving your skills through drills. So it's good. Again, the perception of Jeremy is slowly starting to change. And with things like the Reloaded video, with interviews like this, with Hakeem, And let's be clear, the front office, the management of the Rockets has also been supportive of Jeremy this year. You know, I know that Daryl Morey, the general manager, kind of stood up for Jeremy in a Reddit question and answer thing that he did. Morey kind of pushed back on some of the Lin doubters. And I think, I can't remember where, but I know I've seen one or two other things where it's kind of like, I think the management understands more now. Yeah, this guy's serious. This guy's for real, at least in terms of as a hard worker. You know, they still have to evaluate him as a player and everything. That's normal. That's fair. But there were doubts last summer. Now I think there's many fewer doubts. They know how hard he's worked this summer, including working in Houston, which was shown in the Reloaded video. They showed the scenes of him working out in the Rockets facility. They know that he flew to Denver to work out with Hakeem and Dwight Howard. So, yeah, there's no more questions about whether this guy is going to put in the work. I think it's clear now he's going to put in the work. So that's really good. It's very good, and it's good that more people are recognizing that and supporting him with that. Now, in terms of convincing doubters and this type of thing, that's just going to happen in the season. That just has to happen within the year. And it's, the playoff thing, that's going to have to happen in the playoffs. And if Jeremy's healthy, he'll certainly get his chance this year because it's almost certain the Rockets are going to make the playoffs. So there's going to be plenty of time. And look, it's great. It's just really, really great. Finally, what Hakeem said also was that he can tell that there's already good chemistry, between Dwight Howard and Jeremy. What he said is something to the effect of, yeah, you can see that they both know how much they can help each other. You're like, wow, whoa, this is going to work really well. That's great. That's great. Look, Jeremy and Dwight have worked out together before because they worked out together before at the little Rockets informal mini camp in Los Angeles right after Dwight signed. So there's a reason why Jeremy went to Aspen. And I don't know if that reason is because Dwight told him to go there, but there's a reason why that happened. And the reason very well could be like Dwight, got to play with Jeremy a little bit in LA and is like, oh yeah, this is going to be good. Let's spend some more time working on this. And I'm not saying that is what happened, but it could have been what happened. Or it could be something as simple as, look, I think Dwight spends a lot of time in Aspen, or he's just started to, and he likes it there. And Dwight is from, I believe, he's actually from Atlanta, but Dwight's used to rural stuff. Like, I think he likes to go fishing and this type of stuff. And again, as we talked about in the last video, Dwight's religious, like Jeremy is. So it could have just been something as simple as, hey, he gets along well with Jeremy. Why don't you come out and fish with me? And, maybe we'll talk about, religion or whatever. So it could have been anything. I'm not saying it's just because necessarily Dwight thinks Jeremy's the greatest point guard ever. I mean, it might not even been Dwight that told him to come. It could have been the coaching staff. So, but whatever the reason is, Jeremy was there. And there's a reason for that. And even if it's just as simple as Jeremy wanted to impress the coaching staff by going and doing it. So whatever it is, it's good. And when you can get that type of work in, it definitely improves the chemistry of a team and the chemistry between players. As we talked about in the last video, and as most of you guys know, if not all of you, Jeremy's great at getting the ball to the big guys. That's what we talked about in the last video. He's especially on lobs and alley-oops. Now, Jeremy's a terrific passer. He's the best passer on the Rockets. There's no doubt about that in my mind. James Harden is a great passer, but Jeremy's a better passer. Jeremy still has to work on his passing in terms of he needs to continue to work on becoming better at making decisions so he has fewer turnovers. But just as a pure passer, he's great. And, Dwight doesn't dribble the ball that great, so he's going to rely on people getting him the ball. The person that's going to be getting him the ball probably a majority of the time, or at least a lot, is Jeremy. So, for Dwight to be successful, it's going to work well if he has a good relationship with Jeremy. I just came upon an article, and this is a different article. The article was about Kobe Bryant, and they were talking about how, Kobe might take him a little bit longer to come back from his Achilles tendon injury because Kobe's used to doing a training routine in the summer, and it's really important for his success. And that's true. And a lot of players are like that, particularly the players that work really hard. Some of the best players, they do most of their conditioning work in the summer because, as I said, during the season, you don't have time to do it. In the season, you do maintenance work, meaning if you've built up muscle, you're just trying to keep your muscle, which is not always easy. Jeremy, I know, lost like 10 pounds during the season last year because, his energy's running out. He doesn't have enough time to eat the right food, protein, whatever. So during the summers when you do most of your work, whether it's skills work, whether it's weightlifting work, whatever. And so this article was pointing out how, if Kobe doesn't get to do his conditioning work, he's not going to be the same player. And so basically the premise of the article was, maybe Kobe should wait a few more months to come back so that he can get in that work that he usually would have done in the summer, but he couldn't do because he was hurt. Well, that's exactly like what happened to Jeremy last year. Not only was his knee not right, it just wasn't as strong, but his whole body wasn't right because he didn't get to do any conditioning. Everything he did was rehabilitation work, which is, if you've never had any type of injury, it's just, you do exercise on the body part that's hurt or that you had surgery on. The problem with that is, if you have an injured shoulder and you have to rehab it, well, it's really weak. And so you got to work on strengthening just that shoulder. That means you can't do anything else. You can't do bench presses. You can't do dumbbell curls because your shoulder can't do it yet. And so that's what happened with Jeremy last summer. He just wasn't in condition. Not only his knee, his whole body. Just as I said, it was because I remember a few years ago, Kobe went through that. He had to get like knee surgery or something. And I remember during the year, he wasn't playing at his normal level, even though his knee was fine, but he hadn't gotten that fitness work done. And so again, that's what happened with Jeremy last year. And it was a perfect storm for Jeremy. His body wasn't in shape. His knee wasn't in condition. He was on a new team, and he was playing in an offense that was as far away from his skill set as you could possibly imagine. And he had to deal with all of that. And that's why he looked the way that he looked more than anything else. Again, he does still need to improve certain things. As we've talked about, he does need to continue to work on his skills. But when you take all of those factors, what I was just saying, it's almost impossible to do well. The thing that was great about him was that he stayed with it. He kept working, and obviously we talked about the testimony and how difficult it was for him and stressful and, the little haters and all this stuff. But by the end of the year, it all paid off. 3-point shooting improved. The knee was back up to full strength, and he started putting up serious numbers in the last month and a half. Yeah, he struggled in the playoffs, but, the first time you play in the playoffs, unless you're like, just a I don't know, a freak, you're probably going to struggle. And we've talked about, in the playoffs, the pace of the game is faster. It's more intense. And Jeremy's a player that's relied a lot on being faster than everybody. So if all of a sudden everybody's playing at your speed, well, you're not going to be as good. And that's why he's got to continue to work on his skill set, like his dribbling, and then it'll get easier. So he'll get better at that. But, again, by the end of the season, you were starting to see the real Jeremy Lin. And this season, you should see more of the real Jeremy Lin and a better version of the real Jeremy Lin. And as I've said, he's not going to be a perfect player this season, even with all these things going well and his conditioning, because he still has to get used to the league and just used to starting and used to playing a lot. And he needs time to work on his skills. So that's not going to happen in one off season. It just doesn't work like that. And, I mean, for example, LeBron James has been in the league 10 years. Well, only now is he really starting to become a good post-up player. And LeBron works on his game every summer. So it takes time. But if Jeremy's able to stay healthy, I think within 3-4 years, you're going to see a completely different player. You're going to see, just a full, complete player. And great. I said, just stay healthy, keep playing. Again, I'm not worried about Jeremy. I did come upon something else where it was a Houston Chronicle article, and they were saying that, Patrick Beverley might be finishing the games because of his defense. In the past, that would have made me mad. But I'm not mad. I'm not worried about it now because Jeremy's on the right track. And again, I hope he's on this team. But if he stays on the right track in terms of what he needs to do, he'll be good. He's going to get a lot of playing time. He'll be starting somewhere, whether it's in Houston or not. So that's, if you're a fan of Jeremy's, that's the important thing, just for him to just do what he needs to do. I also wanted to mention that tomorrow, September 19th, Thursday, Linsanity, the film, is premiering in L.A. Now, I don't know, again, I don't know if that's like open to the public or if it's like a special screening. My guess is that it's open to the public, but I don't know that. But you should hear something about that, because even if it's a limited screening, there's still going to be a lot of people there. There's still going to be people that are talking about it and writing articles about it and whatever. So you can look for that tomorrow. Clutch, the administrator over at Clutch Fans, he put in, there's a thread over at Clutch Fans about the Linsanity film. And Clutch put in the theaters that it's going to be showing in Houston. So if you're in the Houston area and you want to see the film, I know he had that information in there about where it's going to be showing, which is cool. Finally, I just want to say I'm sorry I did not get to do responses in the last video, but I will do them to this video. I've just been very busy. I appreciate all the well wishes. I'm hanging in. Things are getting a little bit better, so that's good. I'm just working on my stuff. But this is great news. It's really good to have somebody of the stature of Hakeem Olajuwon coming out and supporting Jeremy. Hakeem, if you don't know Hakeem, if you're just a new NBA fan or you don't know the Rockets very well, Hakeem is a legend. Hakeem's probably he's the best player in the history of the franchise. Of course, he's the guy that won 2 titles for the Rockets. And I would say Hakeem is no worse than, the 12th or so best player in the history of the NBA. He's a legend. He's the guy. And so for him to come out and say these positive things about Jeremy is going to mean a lot for the Rockets fan base. In other words, if you're a doubter or you're a hater, well, now what do you do? Because this, Superman of the franchise is coming out and saying, yeah, I like Jeremy. Jeremy works hard. So that's gonna help Jeremy a lot. And so I'm really happy that Hakeem did it. And it just has a lot of positive things to say, and you can see that he likes Jeremy. Hakeem's got a great story. I mean, again, Hakeem is from Nigeria. He moved over to here just to come to the University of Houston. He played in Houston on the college level before he went to the pros and played for the Rockets. So it's like, Hakeem is, I think, he can understand. I mean, Hakeem was kind of an outsider coming into this country. And so he knows what it's like to be kind of doubted, kind of dissed. So I could definitely see him getting along with Jeremy well. Plus, Hakeem is very religious himself. He's of Muslim faith. He's a very religious guy. So, and I just, like I said, I don't know how much interaction there's going to be between Hakeem and Jeremy Lin, but I definitely think that those two will get along really well. And that's good. As I said, if you're a player in the NBA, if you're a player for the Rockets, it's definitely good to have Hakeem on your side. That will make things a lot easier for you in your career. So that's it. That is the latest. This is very good news. Look, it's just great to hear, Jeremy just keeps on working. He keeps he's working, he just keeps working on his shooting. And it's just tremendous. I mean, you can see if you go and look at the thread about this article on Clutch Fans, you can see how excited everybody is that read the article. That's why I wanted to tell you guys this, because it's very exciting. And it's just nice to hear, again, more positive news about Jeremy. It's like, we're only about 8 days away or 9 days away from the start of training camp. And it just should be an amazing season. And this is for Jeremy, for the team. And as I said, if the team does well, that's going to help Jeremy also. So it's really looking good right now. Okay, that's it for now. Again, thanks very much for the comments. I will come down to the comments of this video. I don't know if I can come immediately, but I will be there soon to respond to what people say. Again, I thank you a lot for the things that were said in the last video. I know a lot of nice comments and well wishes. Things are going okay for me, and I appreciate that. So, thumbs up, thumbs down, your comments below. Once again, I am PFE, Paul Villarreal, the NBA expert. Thanks a lot for watching Conservative New Media. We do strive to be the #1 Jeremy Lin YouTube fan channel. Very exciting news. This is very exciting news all the way around. It's good that Hakeem is coming out to support Jeremy, and it's good that Jeremy's looking good. I mean, Hakeem is a very flattering guy. Like he tries to say positive things, but, he's obviously hearing good things about Jeremy, and he's seen good things with his own eyes about how hard Jeremy's working and about how well he's shooting the ball. So, good news all around. 9 days to training camp, and great stuff. Talk to you guys soon. Take care until then.